another session in biology. My name is Ejiro Efere. Today we shall be looking at the topic, regulation of the internal environment. This topic is found in the theme, Organism at Work. This is the third part of the topic, and in this third part we shall be learning about the liver. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to describe the structure of the liver, discuss the major functions of the liver, and you should be able to describe the roles of the liver in homeostasis. In our previous lesson, where we talked about homeostasis, we said homeostasis is the maintenance of a steady or constant internal environment in the bodies of living organisms. We brought that down to the bodies of animals or vertebrates. We said the bodies of living organisms consist of fluid, and this fluid makes up the internal environment. The fluids are found within cells and surrounding cells. We also agree that various substances are dissolved in the internal environment, that is, in the body fluids of these animals. All of these substances have to be regulated in order for the body to attain balance, and that balance is what we term homeostasis. We listed the various organs that are responsible for homeostasis. Before then, we said the cells and tissues, as all the cells and tissues of the body work together to achieve balance in the body. And there are specific organs that play major roles in homeostasis. Today, we shall be looking at one of such organs, the liver. Various substances are regularly circulated all over the bodies of animals and in humans. Some of these substances include digestive products, as products from the digestive system after the breakdown of food, hormones, enzymes, and even toxic or unwanted chemical elements. These substances are usually broken down in the body, or they are converted from one form or the other in order to be utilized by the body. When they are converted, they can also be stored in the body for future use. They are also converted from one form or the other for excretory purposes. They have to be excreted out of the body. All of this process of converting various substances, breaking them down, and all of it is part of homeostasis. It is done so the body can attain balance and there will be a stable or constant internal environment within the body. The organ responsible for breaking down, converting, or transforming various substances into the body is the liver. So the liver is responsible for this bit of homeostatic process. Let's look at the liver then. The liver. Can you describe the liver? The liver is a dark red organ that is located in the abdominal cavity. The liver is found at the upper right part of the abdomen. Can you touch your upper right part? Yes, somewhere around this area. The upper right part of the abdomen. It is found just below the diaphragm. Remember the diaphragm? Just below the diaphragm. You can see the stomach beside the liver, that's beneath the liver, and you can see the other intestines beneath the liver as well. The liver is the largest and the heaviest internal organ in human body. It is the heaviest and the largest. The weight of the liver is about 1.66 kilograms. Now let's look at the structure of the liver. What does the liver look like? What are the things found inside the liver? The liver is divided into lobes. That is, it's divided into large sections. If you view the liver from the front, you discover that it is divided into two unequal lobes. We have the right lobe and the left lobe. But if you take a look at the liver from the back, that if you reverse this now, this is what you will get. You realize that the liver is divided into four unequal lobes. We have the left lobe, the right lobe, the caudate lobe, and the quadrate lobe. You can describe the liver so you can say the liver is divided into two lobes, or you can also say the liver is divided into four lobes. Each of the lobes in the liver, each of those lobes, either the right, the left, caudate, or quadrate lobe, is further divided into lobules. These lobules are smaller sections in the lobes. You can see the lobules. There are further divisions in the lobes of the liver. The lobes of the liver are made up of special liver cells known as hepatic cells. So the cells in the liver are called hepatic cells. They can also be referred to as hepatocytes. So when you see hepatocytes, we refer to the cells of the liver. The liver, as a large organ, it performs most of its work with the blood, performs most of its functions within the blood. So the liver receives a very large supply of blood. How does the liver receive this blood? The liver receives blood through hepatic artery and portal veins. Blood leaves the liver through hepatic veins. Don't forget the names of these large blood vessels. Let's take a look at the first one, the hepatic artery. Hepatic artery supplies, this is the hepatic artery. Let's use HA to represent it, hepatic artery. It supplies oxygenated blood to the tissues and the cells of the liver. And I'm sure you know what the oxygenated blood is used for. It is utilized by the cells and tissues of the liver to survive. The portal vein is also a very large blood vessel. It carries blood to the liver. This is the portal vein. The portal vein here supplies deoxygenated blood, but very rich in digestive substances. The portal vein carries blood from the digestive system. After food must have been digested, it carries the blood rich in digestive products to the liver. At the liver, these digestive products are processed further to various products. The hepatic vein, you can see the hepatic vein here. Of course, you know veins usually carry deoxygenated blood. So the hepatic vein carries processed or used deoxygenated blood away from the liver. It moves this blood away from the liver to the general circulation. So we have three large blood vessels that are involved in liver blood supply. Don't forget them. The liver, as a large organ, performs various essential roles in the body. It serves as a metabolic organ, responsible for the breakdown of food products or responsible for metabolic processes. It also serves as a homeostatic organ, responsible for the balance or maintenance of a steady or constant internal environment. And it serves as an endocrine gland. As an endocrine gland, the liver secretes hormones. There are so many functions that are performed by the liver. For the purpose of this lesson, we are just going to look at a few of those functions. They include the breakdown or conversion of digested food products, the regulation of the concentration of various substances within the body, detoxification of harmful substances, production of bile, production of hormones, and production of essential vitamins within the body. And lastly, the liver also helps to store various essential substances within the body. We're going to take a look at these various functions one after the other. The first one, which is the regulation of various products, we're going to look at how the liver regulates blood sugar and how it regulates the level of glucose in the body. The sugar is also referred to as glucose. The normal glucose level of the blood of a healthy human is between 70 to 110 milligram per dl. This is the range for a healthy human adult. A decrease or an increase in this value could affect the body negatively. It will disrupt homeostasis. Of course, it will make the internal environment imbalanced. And it could also affect the way the body functions. If this happens repeatedly for a long time, it could cause various disease conditions in the body. The liver ensures that the blood glucose level is always maintained within the normal range. This is a function of the liver. It does this in order to balance the internal environment and achieve homeostasis. How does the liver do this? The liver regulates the blood glucose level in the following ways. First, it converts excess glucose, the supply from the digestive system, to glycogen. The liver also breaks down stored glycogen to glucose. And the liver generates glucose from fats and amino acids. The first one, the liver converting glucose to glycogen. Usually when we consume carbohydrate meal or a meal rich in carbohydrates, the carbohydrate is broken down or digested to glucose or any other form of digested carbohydrates. As we begin to consume the food and as the food begins to digest, the glucose flows or circulates all over the body. It's carried by the blood. It gets to the liver first. The liver sends it to the general circulation. At that point, the level of glucose in the blood increases. So when you consume carbohydrate food, it is broken down to glucose, it is circulated all over the body, and the level of glucose in the blood increases. As this begins to happen, as the level of glucose in the blood increases, quickly, receptors send signals to the control center of homeostasis. I'm sure you know what that is, the brain. The brain stimulates the pancreas. This is the pancreas gland. The pancreas gland is found somewhere beneath the stomach, and it is surrounded by the first part of the small intestine, the duodenum. You can see the pancreas here. This is the pancreas. So the brain stimulates the pancreas to secrete a particular hormone called insulin. Insulin flows from the pancreas gland. It flows from there straight to the body. It flows all over the body. It goes to the cells and tissues of the body. It causes them to utilize glucose. So the cells and the tissues of the body receive instruction from insulin, and they use up glucose to generate energy. As the level of glucose in the blood increases further, insulin sends signal to the liver. So insulin from the pancreas flows through the blood into the liver. What does it do at the liver? Insulin stimulates the liver to convert glucose to glycogen. But don't forget, this can only happen when the level of glucose in the blood is excess. So when the level of glucose in the blood increases beyond normal, insulin causes the liver to convert glucose to glycogen. It begins to build up so many glucose and converts it to glycogen. Glycogen is the storage form of glucose. So when glycogen is produced, it has to be stored. Glycogen is usually stored in the hepatic cells of the liver. So the liver converts glucose to glycogen, and this glycogen is stored in the hepatic cell. The entire process of the liver converting glucose to glycogen is known as glycogenesis. Glycogenesis. The stored glycogen is used in the future to generate energy. The second process in regulating blood glucose level by the liver is the breakdown of stored glycogen to glucose. Remember, initially, the glucose level of the blood was in excess. The liver had to convert glucose to glycogen. In this case, the liver has to break down glycogen to glucose. This happens when the level of glucose in the blood falls below normal. It falls below normal at times in between meals. Let's say we've had breakfast and we're waiting to have lunch. This period of waiting to have lunch, the glucose level in our blood could fall below normal. And at this point, the pancreas stimulates another kind of hormone called glucagon, secreted from the pancreas. Glucagon goes down to the liver and it activates the liver cells, there's the hepatic cells, to break down glycogen. So glucagon comes, so we have low blood sugar, pancreas is stimulated, it produces glucagon, and glucagon comes down to the liver. It stimulates the liver to break down glycogen to glucose. And when this happens, glucose or more glucose is produced from the liver. It circulates all over the blood, and it increases the blood glucose level. And after a while, the blood glucose level becomes normal. So the cells and tissues of the body have enough glucose to generate their energy. This whole process of breaking down glycogen to produce glucose is known as glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis, the breakdown of glycogen to generate glucose. That's the second step. The third step, the liver can also generate glucose from other food products, other digestive products. It can generate glucose from fats and from amino acids. This happens in days when we've not eaten for a very long time, or in days when we are fasting, or even in periods when we eat foods that are low in carbohydrates. In all of these cases, it is supposed or it is assumed that the stored glycogen in the liver has been used up. So there is no more glycogen to carry out glycogenolysis. So the liver has to go to other options to generate glucose. Now you would ask me, why must the body always have glucose? Can the body use fats to generate its energy? The body, of course, some of the cells and tissues of the body can generate energy using fats. But there are some unique organs that can only generate energy using glucose. So the body requires that there is always glucose circulating in it for these organs to have something to always generate energy and continue to live. So glucose must be produced and it must circulate in the body at all times. So in this case, what does the liver do? The liver converts fats and amino acid. It breaks them down to smaller molecules called glycerol, and it converts this glycerol to glucose. So the liver in total, or in summary, breaks down fats and amino acid to glucose. And when it breaks down fats and amino acid to glucose, the glucose circulates in the blood. This is the blood vessel. So these are the glucose molecules that have been generated from the liver, circulates in the blood, and it is utilized by the entire body to generate energy. This unique process of the liver generating glucose from amino acid and fats is known as gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis. So far there are three processes that the liver uses to regulate the blood glucose level. Can you remember them? I'm sure you can. Let's move to the next one. Regulation of amino acids. The liver also regulates the level of amino acids in the blood or in the body. When we consume a meal rich in proteins, proteins are usually broken down to amino acid. Remember that? Now, the liver utilizes, or rather, releases the required amount of amino acid into the body. This is because amino acid is not always stored in the body. So it releases the required amount at that moment into the body. What happens to the remaining amino acid or to excess amino acid? The liver doesn't just throw them away. The liver converts excess amino acid to other products that are utilized in the body. If the amino acid is so much in excess, the liver will convert them to other forms and they will be excreted out of the body. Excess amino acids are usually converted or broken down in the liver in a process known as deamination. Deamination is a process whereby amino acids or amino acid-containing compounds are broken down into two parts. We have the nitrogen-containing part, which we can call the nitrogenous part. This is the first part. And we have the non-nitrogenous part, that's the non-nitrogen-containing part. This is the second part. The nitrogenous part, which is the first part, is converted or broken down further to ammonia. So we have the nitrogen-containing part. It contains amino acid, so it contains amino group. It is broken down further to ammonia. And this ammonia is poisonous. It cannot be left in the body. We have to remove it out of our body. And the only way to excrete ammonia out of the body is to convert ammonia to urea. So ammonia is converted or broken down to urea, and urea is excreted in the urine. The second part, the non-nitrogenous part, it consists majorly of carbon and hydrogen molecules or compounds. This non-nitrogenous part is what the liver utilizes to generate or produce glucose in the body. So the liver converts the non-nitrogenous part to either glucose, glycogen, or storage fat, that is triglyceride. It breaks them down in various purposes or through various processes to produce all of these products. If the blood at that time is low in glycogen or is low in glucose level, I'll take that statement again. If at the moment the blood glucose level is below normal, the liver will break down amino acid or break down the non-nitrogenous part to glucose. If at that moment the blood glucose level is just okay, The liver would rather convert the non-nitrogenous part to glycogen, and it will store the glycogen. If at that point there is sufficient amount of glucose in the blood and there is sufficient amount of stored glycogen, the liver would rather convert them to storage fat, and it will store them in the body to be used in the future in gluconeogenesis. Or it can be stored in adipose tissue as body fats. Adipose tissue where fats are stored. The liver can also use some of these amino acids to manufacture plasma proteins. Plasma proteins are special proteins that are found in the blood plasma. It's used some of these amino acids to produce them. Examples of plasma proteins are albumin and globulin. So the liver must have thought of using the amino acid to produce these proteins. The liver can also convert excess non-essential amino acids that are not required by the body at that moment to particular types of non-amino acids that are required at that moment. So the liver can convert one non-essential amino acid to another type of non-essential amino acid as the body requires. The third process of the liver in regulating homeostasis is lipid metabolism. Lipid metabolism, that's the third function of the liver we shall be looking at today. The liver breaks down lipids into smaller compounds, such as glycerol and fatty acids. Don't forget that glycerol and fatty acid can be converted or be broken down further to glucose and used to generate energy in the body. So in general, in the metabolism of lipids by the liver, we say there are two processes. We have the anabolic process, that's the building up process, and the catabolic process, which is the breakdown or breaking down process. So in the catabolic process, that's where we see the liver breaking down lipids to glycerol or fatty acids, and eventually breaking down these molecules to produce glucose used to generate energy. In the anabolic process, that's the build-up process, the liver is seen to convert excess glucose and other forms of carbohydrate that may be excess in the body to fats, storage fat, which is known as triglyceride. That is the building up process, whereby the liver builds up or builds fat from glucose, excess glucose, and other forms of carbohydrates. Now, this is only seen, or this occurs only when the storage capacity for glycogen in the liver has been filled up. That's when it can occur. Remember, the liver would rather convert glucose to glycogen for storage purposes. But when the glycogen storage capacity has been filled up, the liver can convert this glucose and other forms of carbohydrates to produce storage fat, which is triglyceride. That's an anabolic process. The liver can also produce other useful lipids, such as cholesterol and phospholipids from fatty acid. This is also part of the anabolic process, the building up process, where the liver synthesizes cholesterol and where the liver has to synthesize triglyceride from carbohydrates and any other substance. Okay, we'll look at how the liver detoxifies the body. We say the liver also performs detoxification in the body. Detoxification. Detoxification simply refers to a process whereby a harmful substance is made less harmful or inactive. So the liver cleanses the body and gets rid of toxic or unwanted substances. Toxic substances are harmful substances within the body. Toxic substances and foreign agents are capable of causing harm and disrupting homeostasis in the body. They are capable of affecting the body negatively. So the liver helps to break down these toxic substances and convert them to less harmful forms or inactive forms. So in these two forms, these substances can either remain in the body, that does not cause harm when they are left in the body, or they are excreted out of the body. So the function of the liver is to detoxify or break down harmful substances, or even convert these harmful substances to less harmful forms. As a way of detoxifying the body, the liver can also break down used hormones and other products in the body to less harmful substances. The role of detoxifying the body is performed majorly by the liver. It breaks down hormones. Remember, hormones perform various functions in the body. So when their functions or when their activities are terminated, the liver has to break them down in order for them to be excreted out of the body system. So we quickly look at this chart. We have the liver as the center for detoxification in the body. We have these organs here. These are the routes through which toxic substances come into the body. We have the lungs, we have skin, we have the digestive system, you can say the mouth and the intestines, through which toxic substances can be introduced into the body. The toxins from all of these places go down to the liver at the end of circulation, and the liver detoxifies them. After detoxification, these substances have to leave the body. So we have various routes of excretion or routes through which toxic substances are removed from the body. We also have the skin through sweat. We have the kidney, which produces urine. We have the colon, where feces is excreted from. We have the lungs through respiration. Remember, we said toxic substances can also be stored in the body, but in this case, they are stored in their less harmful or inactive forms. So these toxic substances can be stored in various parts of the body, such as fat cells, bone marrow, liver, joints, blood, tissues of the body, and even the muscle cells. Another function of the liver is the production of bile. The liver manufactures a dark greenish substance called bile. Bile can also be called gall. Bile is a substance that is stored in the gall bladder. It is dark green. If you've ever tried to slaughter a chicken, or even in some fishes, you will discover this small sac that contains a dark green substance that is usually bitter. Whenever you slaughter a chicken, you're always very careful not to allow that substance to spread all over our chicken, because if it does, it will make the chicken taste bitter. That greenish substance is the gall or bile. Bile is produced in the liver. You can see this greenish network of tube is the process of producing bile. And from the liver, it is transported to the gallbladder for storage purposes. From the gallbladder, bile is secreted to the small intestine, where it is used to break down fats and oil. At the small intestine, bile acts as surfactant. You know what a surfactant is? It acts like a detergent. You know, when you use detergent on fats and oil, what does it do? It dissolves fat and oil. So bile acts as surfactant, as a detergent that emulsifies fats and oil. It dissolves fats and oil that has been consumed or got digested from food substances. Bile, as a liquid, contains bile salts, bilirubin, inorganic salts, cholesterol, and a large volume of water. So it is water that contains all of these substances. Another function performed by the liver is the storage of blood and the regulation of blood volume. Remember, I said the liver receives a very large supply of blood. Blood supply to the liver is about 1,500 centimeter cube or 1.5 liters every minute. That is huge, right? Much of this blood is stored in the liver. It is not all the blood that goes into the liver that is transported or that is released by the liver. The liver stores some of this blood together with other substances within its cells. This blood, as the stored blood in the liver, it's only released to the circulatory system when the need arises. When the volume of blood in the body is a little bit low or when it falls below normal, what does the liver do? The liver or the blood vessels in the liver constrict. They become tightened in order to push or release their stored blood. So the blood vessels constrict, blood vessels in the liver constrict, and when they do so, more blood is ejected from the liver and it flows into the bloodstream to increase the blood volume. Also, when the level of blood in the body is high and is higher than normal, high above normal, the blood vessels in the liver, they relax. When they relax, they loosen up and they become free. And as they relax and loosen up, more blood flows into them and they are able to expand, conserve, receive more blood for storage purposes. This stored blood is used in the future to regulate blood volume. The liver can also help to store vitamins. The liver is the storage site for most vitamins and minerals. The liver stores vitamins such as vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin B, vitamin E, vitamin C, and vitamin K. These are both water-soluble vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins. It stores all of these vitamins in different quantities. Certain vitamins are stored in very large quantities in the liver. This includes vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin B. As a matter of fact, the liver can store enough or large volume of vitamin B12 that can last for a year or even more. The liver also helps to store minerals such as iron. It stores iron in a very large quantity. And you know, iron is used for the production of blood. It stores iron. It also stores other minerals such as zinc, potassium, and copper. The liver also produces and breaks down red blood cells. It is the main site of red blood cell production in the body of an embryo. You know who an embryo is or what an embryo is. An embryo is a developing baby that is within the first 8 weeks of development. So a developing baby in the first 8 weeks is described as an embryo. At this stage of development, the liver is the major site or the main site of red blood cell production. So the liver produces the red blood cells in the body of an embryo. As the baby begins to develop from the stage of an embryo to the stage of a fetus, the liver, in addition to or alongside with the spleen and other organs, produce red blood cells. The liver also helps to break down and recycle worn out or destroyed red blood cells in the body of all humans. Remember, red blood cells have a lifespan. As soon as the lifespan comes to an end, red blood cells are usually broken down, they are destroyed in order to recycle their contents. So the liver, it's a site and it helps for the breakdown and recycling of worn out or destroyed red blood cells in every human. Lastly, the liver regulates or helps in the regulation of body temperature. The liver produces body heat. This is not surprising, and it is because the various activities that go on in the liver produces or generates so much heat that is circulated all over the body. Remember, the liver is such an active organ. It is always active. So as it's being active, heat is generated from the various processes as a byproduct. The heat is a byproduct, and this heat is transported by the blood that is released from the liver. It flows all over the body to keep the body warm. So it helps to regulate body temperature. We'll quickly take a summary of all we've been learning in today's lesson. We started by saying the liver is the largest and the heaviest internal organ in the bodies of humans, or in the human body. The liver is divided into lobes. We have the right and the left lobe. That's if you say the liver is divided into 2 lobes. That's when you view the liver from the front. Or you can also say we have the right lobe, the left lobe, the caudate lobe, and the quadrate lobe. That's if you view the liver from the back. So if you say the liver is divided into 2 lobes, you're right. And if you choose to say that the liver is divided into 4 lobes, you're also correct. The lobes of the liver are made up of hepatic cells. Those are the cells in the liver. Functions of the liver include breakdown and conversion of digestive products, as you can also say regulation of various substances in the body, detoxification of harmful substances, production of bile, production of body heat, production of red blood cells, storage of blood, storage of vitamins, and storage of minerals. To find out if you learned well from this class, just to test your knowledge, I'd like you to take this question. It says, which of these is responsible for the breakdown of glycogen in the liver? Option A says insulin, B, bile, C, pancreas, and D, glucagon. The correct answer is option D. Glucagon is a hormone secreted by the pancreas whenever glycogen needs to be broken down to glucose in the liver. Thank you so much for staying in this class. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned so much about the liver and all the functions of the liver. And I trust to see you in our next class. Until then, bye.